So after a few minutes into my lecture videotape, I lost battery power. So here I am once again continuing from where I left off. And I believe I was talking about basically improving the voice leading or the part writing of the piano accompaniment in our future assignments and especially in our future projects. So in our next project, I would like us to all use an arpeggiated and or a rhythmic pattern accompaniment style throughout our next project. So the way that the voice leading of our accompaniments in the future are going to be improved this time is that what we're going to do is we're going to be part writing the harmonies in 4 voices that we choose for our projects, part writing those harmonies first. And then once this is done, what we will do is we will rhythmically elaborate those static or block chords that we've part written to give some kind of rhythmic momentum and activity to our otherwise, plain static chords. Rhythmically elaborating block chords is what the handout that I'm going to send you through Canvas is all about. It's about rhythmically elaborating block chords. You can see at the top of this handout, which I have projected on the screen here, is entitled Suggested Rhythmic Elaborations of Block Chords for Piano Accompaniment. This is a 3.5-page document, again, that I'm going to plan to send to you through Canvas. And I want you to read this document as part of your first homework assignment beyond and after spring break. One of the things that I want to do right now is I want to show you a particular paragraph in this document and focus on that and see what we can learn from that. And in order for you to see this better, what I think I'll do is I'll maybe see if I can shut off all the lights temporarily in this lecture so you can view that, and then when you need to see me or I need to see the piano or something like that, I'll turn one of the lights back on. Rhythmic elaboration is sometimes referred to as figuration. So figuration and the term elaboration I will use synonymously for the purposes of this class. So figuration or elaboration patterns, they give rhythmic activity and interest to block chords without altering the voice leading of the block chords. In order to accomplish this, what we need to do is we need to keep the position of the notes in the block chords exactly where they are. In other words, do not move them, do not change them to different pitches, and do not even change their octave register in which the notes are found. Rather, what we will do to rhythmically elaborate these block chords of ours, we're going to spread the notes out horizontally across the span of a few beats or a measure. Now, in what I call keyboard style notation, the tenor notes in your original part writing, 4-voice part writing, will move from the bass clef up into the treble clef during the elaboration process. This results in 3 notes for the right hand of the pianist and 1 note in the left hand of the pianist. even though you will find out when you read the document for homework that the bass note in the left hand may be doubled an octave lower if you desire it. Okay. So as an example of this rhythmic elaboration procedure, what I've done is I've come up with a very brief four-part block chord progression shown right here on the screen. And you can see that it consists of just 3 chords in the keys of C major. I have a 1 chord followed by a 5-6-5 and then a 1 chord. And what I have done is I have taken the pitches that I've part written correctly in this original progression, and I have rhythmically elaborated these notes many different ways. To be specific, I've actually rhythmically elaborated them 12 different ways in this document. And I will show you some of those ways that I have rhythmically elaborated them right now. Alright, so taking a look at the first rhythmic elaboration that I have created down here on the bottom of the screen, let us compare it to the original 4-voice part-written progression. Notice that what I said before is that when you change from a block chord progression to a rhythmically elaborated accompaniment, you do not move or change any of the notes of your original part writing. So for instance, you see that this C3 right here is still a C3 down in the accompaniment version. The B3 is still a B3, and the C3 again is still a C3. I'm not changing the octaves necessarily of any of the notes in any of the original voices. I'm just changing the rhythm of those pitches, but leaving those pitches exactly where they are. So for instance, let's take a look at the tenor line. The tenor line is originally C4, D4, and C4. And as I said before, the tenor line will move from the bass staff up into the treble staff when you write it in keyboard style for your piano accompaniments in the future. So here we can see the tenor note is right here. C4, D4, and C4. It's just that its rhythms have been changed. Taking a look at the alto voice, we have E4, F4, and E4. We can find those exact same pitches, just rhythmically altered, in the rhythmic elaboration below. E4 is right here, F4 is right here, and then it goes back to E4 again. Finally, the soprano voice uses G4 and then 2 more G4. So the soprano stays on the pitch G4 the entire progression. You'll notice that in the rhythmical elaboration below, the G4 is consistent throughout in the highest voice. And that shows again that I have not moved it. So by not moving the pitches in their original part-written progression, what I do is I actually preserve the good and the correct part writing that I've taken care to do here. It is preserved down here. It's just that the rhythm has been changed, not the notes and not the position of the notes. Out of the 12 rhythmic figurations I have included in this document, here are a few others for variety. This is rhythmic elaboration. I have number 6 and number 7. You can see number 6 is still in common time or 4/4 meter. However, number 7, I have used the original notes of my part writing and rhythmically elaborated them in triple meter. And I'm going to go ahead and turn one of the lights on again and freeze this on the screen so I can play these 2 examples for you. Elaboration number 6. Elaboration number 7. Finally, let's look at 3 more examples from this handout. Again, you'll notice that all of the pitches used in these examples are C4 for the bass, C3 for the bass, C4 for the tenor, E4 for the alto, and G4 for the soprano. You'll notice, if you can see in example number 11, I have doubled the bass an octave lower, which you are allowed to do in piano style, keyboard style accompaniment. And but anyways, let me just go ahead and play these for you so you can hear how they sound. Elaboration number 9. Elaboration number 10. And finally, elaboration number 11. When you get this handout through Canvas, I would strongly recommend and encourage you to play through all of these 12 rhythmic elaborations to see how the notes stay the same with the original part writing. It's just that the rhythm has changed. Now, the meter, as well as the amount of elaboration desired, will generally determine the figuration pattern or the figuration type you'd like to use. And I must say that because even though I have 12 rhythmic elaborations of my original part written progression, that does not mean that that exhausts all the possibilities. There are many other ways to rhythmically elaborate a block chord progression. It's just up to your imagination, as long as you preserve the notes and do not move them, but just change the rhythm. Taking a look at figuration number 11 one more time to show again the fact that I have doubled the bass note in the left hand. That's why there are 2 notes there for each measure instead of 1. In the process of doubling the bass, in instrumental music, especially piano in this case, the bass can be doubled an octave lower, and for a wider range, what it does is it helps to strengthen and amplify one of the outer voices. And this can be done as long as, this is the warning here, as long as it can be reached and played by the player, you may go ahead and double the bass an octave lower. If, however, it is further than an octave lower, it would probably not be able to be doubled. You could even double the bass an octave higher as long as it doesn't conflict with any of the pitches up here. So the safest bet is to double the bass an octave lower if you want a richer sound in the left hand. Now, I'm going to tell you that our next choral arranging project is going to be to arrange the folk song Choral, which we have talked about prior in this class before, to arrange it for 3 vocal parts and piano accompaniment. And as a way to start working already on the piano accompaniment for Choral, what I have done is I have provided through Canvas your next written assignment, which is going to be to go ahead and part write the harmonies that I have listed for you up above the melodic staff here with pop symbols. Go ahead and part write those harmonies in the grand staff down below the melody. This is going to be the first step in a series of steps that will get us a fairly decent, easily playable, hopefully, piano accompaniment that has some thought put into it. Right. So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is I'm going to go ahead and exchange this picture of the Choral assignment with a version of mine that has some part writing already in the opening measures. So as we take a look at the initial part writing, I'm using the chords B flat major, C minor in first inversion, F major minor 7 or dominant 7th on F, and then a B flat triad again. Now there's no rule as to how you're going to start voicing the very first chord, just as long as you use the voicing that we normally learn in the theory classes, so that your voices adhere to good part writing rules. In other words, we don't want voices to be out of their vocal ranges. We don't want the soprano to be more than an octave away from the alto, or the alto an octave away from the tenor, etc., etc. So what I did is I just started out by using this voicing for the first chord. I have B flat in the bass, F in the tenor, B flat in the alto, and D in the soprano. By the way, we still use our doubling rules that we learned in the theory sequence as well. The next chord, as I said, is C minor in first inversion. My preferred doubling for a 2-6 chord is what this really is in the key of B flat major, would be to have E flat on the bottom and to double that bass note, and then I have G in the tenor and I have C in the alto. The doubling of the bass is obviously in the soprano, the E flat there. The next chord is my F dominant 7th chord, which is F, A, C, E flat. And I have actually been able to write that nicely and neatly in root position. So I have F in the bass, A in the tenor coming from this measure here, C in the alto, and E flat stays in the soprano as where it came from in the measure before. Then finally, we know that the 7th of a 7th chord must always resolve down by step. So the 7th of my F, A, C, E flat chord is the E flat. It's in the soprano and it needs to come down by step to D. My other pitches will then be B flat in the bass, F in the tenor, and B flat in the alto. This voicing of the B flat triad is the exact same voicing as the B flat triad over there. Not that it has to be, but it does based on my part writing here because of the tendency tone, the 7th of the chord, that has to move down by step. So what I'd like to do next is I would like to change the screen and see if I can show you at least the beginning measures of a choral arrangement of RLE for 3 voices and piano accompaniment, which uses the part writing that I have here for the first 4 measures, and so that it stays intact. It's just that the rhythm has changed. So after the opening 4-measure piano introduction, what I have is I have the first 4 measures of the arrangement of RLE. Now hopefully from the screen here you can see how I have actually placed the melody in the baritone voice. I have oohs, neutral syllables in both the alto and the soprano voices. But the main thing I'd like to focus on is the piano accompaniment. Notice that I've got B flat 2 right here. I have F3, I have B flat 3, and I have D4. This was the arrangement or the setup of the original part writing of the first measure that I just showed you. So the notes throughout these measures have not changed or moved. They've not gone to different pitches. Their octave registers have not been changed. What I have done is I have just varied the rhythm. Also notice here, like we talked about, how the F that was in the tenor down in the bass clef has now moved up to the treble clef, and this is where it would be notated. So that just gives you a little taste of how some block chords, some stagnant or static chords, can be transformed by rhythmically elaborating them into a useful piano accompaniment that supports the harmony and the pitches of the voices. Now, of course, if we were in class together, well, we would be able to take time for questions that you may have regarding what I've just talked about. We even would be able to take time to go over maybe a little more of the assignment that I'm going to give to you. We certainly will, in class together, we can deal with returning homework, collecting homework, those kinds of things. So let me just go ahead and reiterate to you now what I would like you to do for up between now and the next lecture that you receive. So the assignment between now and the next lecture is going to be, I will send you this document on Canvas, is going to be to part write all of the harmonies that I've given you here with the pop chord symbols to complete this song. It's all on one side of a piece of paper. The other part of the homework assignment is going to be to read the document that I'm also sending you through Canvas, which talks about how to take a block chord progression, part write it, and then transform it into a rhythmically elaborated piano accompaniment. Now, on your own staff paper, after you have all of the measures in here, the harmonies part written, what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to take your own piece of staff paper and I want you to write a figuration, a rhythmic pattern, elaborated pattern for measure 1 and a second figuration or different type of elaboration pattern for measure 9, so that I can see how you are grasping the concept. Okay. So again, read the document that I've given you about rhythmic elaboration with part writing. Go ahead and part write these harmonies on this sheet that I will also send to you. And then finally, once you're done part writing, see if you can write for me on your own piece of staff paper a rhythmic figuration or elaboration of just the chord that you used in measure 1, and then also a different figuration pattern that you can write out for the chord or the 2 chords in measure 9. So that is all for now. Please do communicate with me, send me emails if you have questions about anything. And again, I will try to make this as clear as possible, the assignment on Canvas, so that you'll know what you are doing. And I wish you good luck on this assignment, and until next time.